Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday's stream. We're doing things a little bit different again this Monday as our team is still traveling. And today we have a stream we're calling Elephants and Pillars. So maybe that'll ring a bell to some of you. Maybe it's new to you. Either way, it's going to be, we have a good presentation. I'm excited about it. So why don't you say hi in the chat? It looks like some people have been saying hello already. So it's good to see everybody. Hello, Emily, Dana, Colin, Celeste. It's good to see everybody today. And so anybody watching on the replay, hello to you. Anybody that's with us live, thanks for joining. Very excited. And we're going to get right into it today. I know last week we covered a lot of things that we touched base on during the event for Q3 that we had here in East Aurora and also the team in Dusseldorf. So that was very exciting. So if you're new, like I mentioned, you weren't able to make it to the event, you're going to get a little bit of what we were covering. And we're going to get right into the presentation today. So hopefully Emily can help out with the chat. Last week we had a bit of a delay, and I think there's always a delay with Circle. So bear with me a little bit as we navigate through that. And we'll get right into what we're calling Elephants and Pillars. It's a little cryptic, so it's pretty fun. So I guess what we're asking about the business is some questions that we've been asking about. And what we want to know is a couple questions from everybody inside the group. And these are questions that we ask of ourselves. They're questions that we ask of sellers and of our partners. And the question really comes into, are you tuning, are you turning up to your business and turning into your business, or are you going on vacation from it? Are you stepping away from it? And one of the questions that we've been asking is, what are you prepared to do? This is a big question. It leads to a little bit of what is it that you must do? And a lot of times we get answers inside the when we go to the chat, when we go to different places and we ask questions if we're live, what is it you're trying to do? And we get many surface level answers. What are you prepared to do? And these surface level answers are usually that I'm prepared to do anything and everything for my business. And what we found over a period of time is that this is not actually an answer that we can accept, because it actually means nothing. It means that it's like you've been saying this, we've been saying this up to now, and it's not a good thing. We think that it's some kind of proud way of presenting ourselves, that, hey, I'll do anything for my business. I'll do everything for my business. And although it comes from a great place, it often comes from a place of a bit of a surface level area. And saying that you're going to do this actually means that you're attempting. So what are you attempting to do in the business? So going back to what I was saying is, saying everything and anything really means that you don't have any structure to where you're going, and you may not have a good direction. Going a little bit further, another question that we have is, what are you actually attempting to do inside your business, or what is it you're attempting to do with this business? Now, we can definitely go to the chat on this. Maybe Emily can help me out a little bit, but going to the chat and asking quickly, just what is it that you're attempting to do with your business? What do you want to do with your business? What do you want your business to do for you? And maybe we can get a couple answers from the chat. I know there's a bit of a delay here. And usually we get similar answers for what it is that you're actually attempting to do with this business. And so while those answers are coming in, I'm just going to move past it a little bit. The usual answers that we get are, well, these are the answers. These are the predicted ones. So we'll see if the chat equals the predictions that we usually have, which is financial freedom. We want profit. We're looking for, $5,000 or $10,000 a month to take home. We're looking for passive income, sustainable business. These are the surface level and the predictable answers that we often get. And we're not saying that these are bad answers. What we're saying is we want to get a little bit more specific. And what we're looking to do is um, is break this down and be more specific. So what are you actually attempting to do? What we would like you to do inside your business. Our thoughts are break this down a little bit. We're attempting to scale this down and be a little bit more specific in what we're actually asking of the business. And so what we are asking is we want to break this down, of course, into numbers, because this is how we always talk about things. We're looking to sell X amount of a number of units per year or per month, and you're looking to sell those units at a specified price with a profit of whatever your specified profit is. So when you break down each product inside your business, when you break down each unit inside your business, what are we actually looking to do? And it's because the reason is when we go back up to those kind of surface level answers, what we're finding is that there's no real direction. There's no real answer to that. And what is it that you're actually looking to do, and how do you get there, more importantly, I think. But of course, we want to talk about a few things first. And it appears that there has been a few elephants in the room that we would like to address first. Now, this is something that we have talked about in depth, and we have talked about regularly. One of these areas that we feel for an elephant in the room is that we feel that confidence has departed. All right. And what we mean by this is that seems to be some type of issue with confidence inside the system, inside the group, inside yourselves. And it happens from many different places. And so what we're looking at for this is, obviously there's a couple areas that we're going to address. System belief. We would say that this is Amazon, so a belief in the Amazon. Engine belief, which looks like private label people. That would be us. And then, of course, self-belief, so belief inside your business. Now, I know from talking with people one-on-one over the last year that the struggles that people go through with their business and some of the issues that they see inside of their business. This is us addressing that directly. And we hope that this really resonates with many people. We know that it did with the event, and so we're looking to bring that to the group even on a greater scale. System belief, of course, like I mentioned, is them. Amazon, right? Engine belief is us. Self-belief is you. And so let's get back to the basics and scale everything down. Scaling this down means being specific. And we've talked about this. So we want to get specific. We've talked about this with a product. My product doesn't sell. That's a very surface level answer to a very large question. It doesn't show us a lot. It doesn't give us anywhere to go. So we want to get down to specifics. And when it comes down to being specific about some of the elephants in the room, we're going to get specific about this and speak to these also. So one of the first ones that we hear often and we talk about, which is everyone else but me. So I guess this is a question we have to ask ourselves: is this what's happening? Is everybody else able to be successful, but just not you? Another elephant in the room is that Amazon takes all of my profits. This is something that we've seen. This is something that we've experienced. This is definitely a question that's come up. Sometimes these are whispers in the background. We don't always want to address it, or maybe we do address it, or we address it at a surface level. This is something that we've talked about. Another one would be, I have to use PPC, and PPC is taking all of my profits. And, these are issues that we've seen. These are issues that we're experiencing. These are things that we're talking about on a regular basis, but we want to go directly into them. We want to lean into them. The competition is too great, right? These are all the questions. And as I'm going through some of these, I'm going to go to the chat one more time. And maybe Emily can help me out again, which is, are these resonating with you guys? Are these some of the elephants that you're experiencing when you're talking about some of these areas of confidence that has left you because of these things? Or am I on Am I on task today? Am I correct in some of these assumptions and predicted answers that we have? Do these, for the group that's with us live, do these resonate with you? Going back to the competition is too great. This is something that we hear all the time. And, Amazon is growing on a regular basis. Amazon is a massive, massive undertaking. So it looks like Dana, she's with us. All right, welcome to the chat, Dana. It's good to see you. So these are resonating. This is great. Competition is too great. Ricardo, he's with us too. Going further, the only way to sell is to lower my price. This is something that we hear about all the time. It's that you need to sell your product at a certain level in order to achieve the results that you're looking to do. And storage costs are too high. We've heard about this. This is something that we've addressed directly. We are going to get into this a little bit further, of course, but this is one of the elephants in the room that's been there for a long time. What about Chinese suppliers? This is something that we hear about almost every time we talk about someone's product and the market. This is something that there's too many Chinese suppliers. There's too many issues. So we're continuing to go down this one. This is of course my favorite, which is it's the product's fault. And there is the idea that when you or we select products to go to market, that these are test products. We're going to test these products. Now, do we go forward with 100% of the tests? Of course not. So this is true, right? Just like all of these things that we've gone, these aren't made up. They're all true to an extent. But are they the actual cause of the problems? Are they the actual, are they keeping you from going back? We'll go back to everyone but me. And so talking about these things and addressing them directly is something that we definitely want to get into. And so if all of these are true, then this really can't work for anyone. This business doesn't work for anyone. And I would lean into some of the major pieces to Amazon. We know it's the largest platform in the world for selling. The catalog that Amazon has for products, the number of sellers that they have worldwide, including each market. It's massive business. And so the question then is, does it not work for anyone? I mean, that seems unfair. It seems unlikely when we look at it like that. And when we look at it like that, we think about Amazon taking all of our fees, and we know what these are. So we're going to get into some of these pieces, and we're going to look at the facts. And so that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to look at some of the facts that we want to talk about here. And here we go with facts. We're going to break this down. Great for fees, advertising, competition, tactics, and storage. So when we look into these and we go a little bit further, fees. We know the referral fee and we know the FBA fee. So we know that Amazon is taking their share, right? And we want Amazon to take their share. I mean, we look at it sometimes like Amazon's taking from us, as opposed to the way maybe a paradigm shift could be, which is we're allowed to. We put this post out not too long ago. I talked about I get to. I get to sell on Amazon. And what I get to do is I get to avoid the brick and mortar. I get to avoid all of the employee situations. I get to avoid cleaning and merchandising. I've done those things. Those are difficult tasks, and they're every single day. They're every day before open. They're every day after close. They're all day throughout business hours. There's scheduling. There's all of these things. And Amazon's fees are fixed, and they are specific, and we know what they are. So when it comes to the facts and the fees that Amazon's taking all of our money, we look at this and we say, I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if it's fair to say. Going into advertising, right? Well, I must use PPC, but it's eating all of my profits. And we look at this again, that it's a tool, it's a tactic. for what we're doing. It's not necessarily the only way forward. It should be used as just a tool, and there should be you should have constant work on it. It's not something that you just set it and forget it. It's not part. We don't build budgets into each product for this specifically. It's a tactic. Um, competition, competition, competition is a good thing. I guess it goes back to Robert talking about the product expectations, and getting deep into that conversation of what is the expectation of your product. Many of us have this expectation: we're going to go to market with one product. It's going to perform exactly the way we thought it was going to. There's not going to be any issues whatsoever. There's no hiccups. We're not going to have to make adjustments or pivots or any of those things. And when I say it like that, it doesn't actually seem very realistic. It doesn't seem that is actually what we are attempting to do. I mean, it is, of course, what we're attempting to do, but it doesn't seem like it's realistic that that's actually what's happening to us or what's going to happen. And when we talk about competition, competition is a good thing. We want competitors out there. It shows that there's a market for this product. It shows that people are buying this product. It's the data that we can access before actually having to go into the market and making our own investment. And the more competitive a product is, obviously, the greater the market. Now, there is levels here, right? There is too far. And what happens if we get into a market that is too competitive? What happens if we get into a market and it changes drastically after 1, 2, or 3 orders? Well, then we just pivot. Our portfolios are not structured on one specific product that is going to make or break our entire portfolio or our entire business. And that's one of the benefits of our business, way we've structured it, is that even though we have told people not to fall in love with products, we all know that we have. And, I know for Emily and I, we have definitely fallen in love with products before. And what we've had to do is make business decisions based on numbers to walk away. And when you look at the numbers, it's easier to make those pivots and to make those changes. And to go a little bit further, we would talk about tactics, that the only way to sell is to lower the price. Now, this is something that we hear all the time, and that we also talk about. There's a need for a price. I have to get this price in order for this product to work. And this is actually the only tactic that many people deploy. It's the go-to tactic that most people have, and they get it wrong over and over and over. And what we want to do is we want to address these things over and over, right? That's what we're doing. Repetition, talking about these things. We're not hiding behind it. And, if this is the only tool that you have in your tool bag between this and PPC, which is lower your price and add costs, expenses, how do you think the product's going to perform? And these are what we're talking about when it comes to some of the facts inside the business. Now, storage, obviously, this is something that we have talked about for some time, and I have to. The storage costs are killing me. The good thing that we have done about this is that we have drawn a line in the sand, and if you haven't done this personally, if this hasn't been a conversation that you've had with us or with your business partner, if you haven't had a strategy, if you don't have a strategy, this is a conversation that needs to be had inside your business. If you'd like some assistance in this conversation, you can access me. I have a link inside Circle. We can set up a strategy call and we can talk about this specifically. This is a great conversation. I'm happy to have it. And what we're talking about is going back to, what are you prepared to do? I'm prepared to at least get on a call and have a conversation. And I'm at least willing to address it and take the mask off and look directly at it, to get below surface level and to address these things directly. So as we talk about the facts, and I know that we're going to go to the chat again and see if anybody if we agree on these, and if these facts that I'm presenting are legitimate. these are all facts that we agree to. Because what we're going to do is we're going to go to the chat, and I'm going to need some help from Emily on this one, which is we're going to get some yeses and some nos. So what we want to do is ask, as we are waiting for the chat to go forward, do we believe the facts of the profit and loss statement? So let's talk about that for a minute. Do we believe revenue, right? Do we believe that revenue is calculated by taking all the sales from every country, excluding the sales tax? Is this something that we agree on? Okay, and so do you believe that this is true? Now, unfortunately, I can't wait for the chat to keep up with me, so we're going to have to work backwards a little bit, but I'm going to see the yeses coming in, I hope. So that's a little hint for y'all. So we can agree and that this is accurate, that we believe that this is how revenue is calculated. Okay, going forward, what about COGS? COGS is calculated by adding landed cost plus referral plus fulfillment. Is this yes or no? We believe that this is how you calculate the COGS inside your business. Ideally, we want the COGS position to be 70% of the revenue, 30% landed cost, 15% referral, 25% fulfillment. I'm sure this may resonate with some of you guys. There's a little something we call 40-30-30 or 30-30-40, however you want to look at it. And that's how we calculate this. Okay, so we're getting some yeses inside the chat. All right, let's go a little bit further. What about gross profit? Okay, gross profit is calculated by taking the COGS away from the revenue, and we want this to be around 30%. Do we agree that this is how we calculate the gross profit inside of our business? It's a yes or no here, guys. So I know we're seeing some stuff coming in. Happy to see it. So we have those. We have revenue, COGS, and gross profit. Okay, go a little bit further. Let's talk about expenses. Okay, expenses are split into two. So you would have internal and external. Internal being platform related, external being everything else that we see inside the business. Do we agree that those things are accurate? I'm getting some yeses inside the chat. All right, we'll go a little bit further. Last one here, guys, which I'm sure you guys have all been through before. That's why we're moving pretty quickly on it. Okay, net profit, calculated by taking over overall expenses away from the gross profit. We want this to be ideally around 20%. So do we agree that these are how we take on these, or how we calculate these expenses and how we calculate the finances inside our business? Okay, moving forward. So can we all agree on internal expenses, right? Internal expenses are related to the product inside your business, but they're not directly related to sales revenue of each one. Is this a yes or a no? We're going back to the chat. We're getting some yeses and some nos inside what we're talking about. All right. I see Dana's in there. Celeste is in there, getting some yeses from everybody. Emily's yesing. All right. Moving on. So internal expenses, right? These are related, right? Storage and advertising. So we're getting the yeses and nos on these. We agree that these are the internal expenses. External expenses. External expenses are related only to the business. They're not relative to each individual product inside the business. If we're going yes or no, here's a couple examples of what we'd be talking about. So everything else, right? Your phone, it's not product specific related, right? Your accounting, any software that you have, office related expenses that you may have. These are external expenses, and we should be able to agree that they're related only to the business, not the specific product. And do the questions then start to come out? How do we think this would work? So let's get specific again, right? Do we believe that this will be easier if we had one product or if we had multiples of products? And this becomes a major aspect of what we're trying to do inside the business. This is something that we've talked about over and over, and we took a deep dive into this during the event. And what we wanted to do, of course, is make sure that we are speaking about this. You know, it's not feasible to have a business held up by only one product. We have to look at this a little bit further. So Dana's coming into the conversation. She says multiple. So the question: do we believe that this will be easier if we had one product or multiple products? And what we're getting from everybody is multiple products. So we're going to get into this a little bit. And pillars. So we talked about elephants, and now we're going to talk about pillars. And the pillars inside your business, think of each one of the pillars holding up your business. All right. So it's not feasible to have a business held up by one God, right? And one pillar, right? Holding up everything inside your business. We found that what happens is it's not realistic and the foundation crumbles. The whole business starts to do that. And so what we'd like to do is we'd like to think about the business in an idea of how we go forward with this. And moving forward, if this is a product, I'm going to go to the chat on this. Do we feel that this is a good structure for your business, right? We already heard from everybody inside the business, which is multiple. So you're saying to me that if your business looks like this, if this is the structure of your business, that this is not as strong of a foundation, not as strong of a business as you think that maybe you could have inside your business. So we're going to go to the chat a little bit on here. And what we're looking for, obviously, we've gotten the multiples from people. We're going to go forward. What do you guys think about this? So if this was your business and you had going from one product to 3 products, do we feel that your business would be stronger? So Emily's in the chat for us. She's saying not a strong foundation. It would tumble quickly, right? And so adding just 2 products to your business, you start to get some stability inside this business. You know, what we see is, and Emily and I can speak to this, like we have with our own business, that early days, you know, you're putting so much. It's back to that product expectation. You're asking so much of that one product. You're asking for that one product to perform the best a product has ever performed. You're looking for that product to support all of the internal and external expenses inside your business. You're looking for it to handle everything. And the other side of this is that one product, not only does it have to perform, you have to perform. So you have to perform at your all-time peak for PPC. You have to perform when it comes to making sure that there's nothing mistaken, right? You're not we talked about it early in the business. Are you taking a vacation from your business, right? If you're in a PPC campaign, you're having to manage that perfectly, right? Because the expectation, if we go back up to one product, what are we looking to do here? We're putting everything in this one product, and it doesn't seem realistic when we break it down and we look at it. And so I would go back to the chat a little bit and say, do you agree? Do you agree that what we're asking, it's back to that product expectation, that maybe we're asking too much of that one product? And has anybody done that? So this is kind of a yes or no. We can go back to the chat. Have you asked too much of a product? And do you think this is unrealistic for one product to do all of those things inside your business? And to go one step further, do you believe that you would have to be performing at peak performance in order to make this happen? So I'm sure we can get some yeses or some nos. Maybe we have some people saying no in the chat. They don't agree. All you need is one product. This will be good enough. I have a strong foundation. I'm going to last forever. So Emily says, oh, yes, we have done that. And we've asked too much of a product. So I'm going to keep going a little bit. When we talk about adding products to the business, what happens is all of those pieces that we talk about start to lessen. We're not asking so much. But I would even go so far as that too much to ask of 3 products inside the business is asking those same questions of this, asking too much. What if your business looked a little bit like this? We have a couple different products, and if you look at it, you have a big product right there in the middle. You have two very strong products, and if we talk about these pillars and you look at them and you break them down and say, oh, let's get specific. Maybe you do have just one great product selling in your business, and you have two other products that are strong, they're growing because each product is at a different level. Maybe that middle pillar that we have there is a product that you've ordered 6 or 7 times. Maybe those other two products have shown really strong data early days, and you've already started the reprocess, and maybe one of them's in 2 or 3 reorders, and maybe one's at a second reorder, but the profits that you're getting from that are very strong, and you're showing that it's showing promise for your business. You've got a couple other products that are just workers. They're doing very good. The profits are sustainable. They're steady, and they're continuous. Right? These are things that help build. You're able to, that product starts to become self-sustaining, and you're able to take some profits off that and for reinvestment purposes. You have a couple other products here. They're not even full products yet. Maybe they're in their infancy. We've got samples. You've purchased them. You've put a payment 1, maybe a payment 2. Maybe it's coming out of production. It's got to get shipping. There's things that are happening. But now we have Dana. She says, no, I have several products, but one is doing all of the heavy lifting. So all that means, Dana, for us is that we get a look at these products. And I know you are having conversations with us, which is great, because what that allows you, it's going back to the question, like, what are you prepared to do? You're prepared to work with us and to meet us right where you are inside your business and have these conversations and allow us to work with you and look at the data. Let's get specific with the data. What's happening with those products? So I appreciate you being honest about the idea here. And when we're looking at this, you can start to think, okay, if I have multiple products inside my business, I don't have to put as much pressure on every single one. I can start to spread that pressure out a little bit. Because what happens, and I know it's happened to us, what happens when we have unrealistic expectations of a product, right? Because that's what we're talking about with product expectations. And then we're asking too much of that product when we shouldn't have, right? The problem was our expectation was off. And then we go down that path and we start to have these expectations, and that product does not perform the way it needs to. What we do is we act out of desperation. And we go back to the tactics that we were talking about, which are not tactics really at all, which is the only go-tos we have. Lower the price and add PPC. If you lower the price and you add PPC, are you going to make the profits that you need to hold up your entire business? Well, we know the answer to that. It's a strong no, right? And so what happens is this is a snowball effect, and it grows and it gets momentum, but that momentum is going in the other way. And that's why we're talking about this today. So looking at this picture of the pillars and looking at this the way it is, this seems more sustainable. But we want to go a little bit further. We want to look at this. We can't just look at this in 2-dimension anymore. We need to go 3-dimensional and beyond. And so when we look at it like this and we start to go, okay, what is this? How am I growing this? What does this look like? And when we start to look at this like this, we can start to think about what other pillars can we add to our business? Okay. Well, here's a pillar for you. Well, before we do, let me go to the chat. I know that there'll be a little bit of delay here, but maybe you can add, besides products, what other pillars could you add to your business? It's kind of a loaded question, so I'm not going to give you a lot of time. I'm going to speak to it anyways, but as you're thinking about it, as you're going to the chat, the question then becomes, what other pillars can you add to the business? And if I look at this and I look at business depth and I look at the different products inside of our business, the first thing that comes to mind, and I was hoping we could get the chat moving on this one, would be adding markets, right? Because if you think about this and you think about looking at this as the 4 corners of this, is each one of those corners a different market? And there we go, Dana, more markets, wonderful. And each time we add another market, we're adding multiple pillars. We're not just adding one pillar, because it's the market pillar and it's all of the products that are holding up that corner. And what happens is this goes from a two-dimensional look to a three-dimensional look, and the way the strength inside your business, it starts to allow you some freedoms inside your business to make decisions. I talked about lack of options. Sometimes when we're desperate because of a product is performance, when we are pushed up against the wall, when we're looking at finance, when we have all of the elephants in the room staring back at us, we are not performing the way that we would like to perform. And this is a huge part of how we, when we talk about performance and when we talk about the way we're performing, not just the products, but also ourselves. How are we performing? What is it that we are doing for each of the products that are inside of our business? Are we handling them exactly the way we would? I mean, has anybody taken a vacation from their business at some point? Well, that's not going to allow for your business to have peak performance. And so this view of the pillars, and this view of the foundation of your business is really the direction that we're looking to go into. And we feel that many times we have that unrealistic expectation. Many times we don't see the full picture, and many times we are looking at it two-dimensionally. And so what we want to do is obviously continue to grow, and we want to continue to build off of this. Now, one of the things that we see, and we've talked about this, is your way, right? Which your way of doing things often is you want to have your cake and you want to eat it too. And so one of the things that I was talking about recently was there was kind of two things I was talking about with people and with the team. And Emily and I were just having a conversation about this the other day, about the different layers to private label people and the multiple different aspects of what we can do and what we are doing. Obviously, we have our products, our product selections, all of our all-inclusive products. And, we do the research and the sourcing, and we offer these products to people. They test them in the markets, and you can take that off of your list of tasks that inside the business. And those are some of the things that we talked about last week. You can take that task right off of there. And the other things that we're doing is education today is another aspect of it. This isn't necessarily product related directly, right? But it is about education on your business. And we don't always just talk about products and all the education around products. We also want to talk about education around successful business. We talk about private label selling being a real business. And if it is a real business, then we have to talk about business strategy, and we want to talk about growing your business, and we want to have some education around business and the multiple layers. And made me think about an analogy that I've used for some time when speaking with people. And it's the idea of making a cake. And so if we think about our business, and we think about our business like if we were making a cake. And so you're going to have to stay with me a little bit. Hopefully I do this a little bit of justice and I don't go too far off. But just imagine that you are inside your business and you are tasked with baking a cake. All right. And this is obviously something that's delicious. You want it to turn out perfectly. And what you do is you start by cracking a few eggs. Okay. But instead of mixing them, what you do is what you should do is you should mix up the eggs, of course, right? And then mix in the other ingredients. But instead of that, you walk away and you leave them sitting there for, I don't know, let's say a week, right? Which I know nobody would ever do, but let's just entertain me for a minute. And you're distracted, right? You get distracted by other things. You were first there, you cracked the eggs, you put them in the bowl, and other things distracted you, and the eggs just sit there, exposed to the air, and they begin to spoil. All right. And after a week, you suddenly remember, like, oh, my eggs, the cake. Oh, God. I need to get back to that. So you go back, you look at it, and you throw some sugar inside of there, right? You throw in the butter. You don't mix them properly, but Ricardo, thank you. But instead of mixing them, You just throw in the other ingredients and you walk away again, right? You give them a quick stir. It's about halfway done, and it's still sitting on the counter. Eventually, you decide it's time to get that thing in a cake pan, right? And so what you do is you pour that mix, poorly mixed up, terrible ingredients now that have spoiled on you. It's uneven inside the pan, and what you do then is you just shove it inside the oven, right? This is I'm wondering with Ricardo's GIF inside the chat, is this going to be a delicious cake, right? So we go a little bit further, when the timer goes off, signaling that the cake is done, you kind of casually look at your phone, and you get lost in other tasks, right? Maybe a notification from something comes off. Maybe someone says something. Maybe you have to go someplace, and it just sits in the oven too long. And finally, you pull it out, and the results, of course, are disastrous. The cake is dry. It's flavorless. You were expecting something else, right? You were expecting a masterpiece, right? You were expecting light and fluffy and delicious, right? I like cake. I think that might have been my first word, cake. It's, who doesn't love cake, right? But the results that you've received are not what we were thinking about. Then when you take a bite, it's awful. Here comes the question. Should we blame the cake? Right? The cake is representing the products inside your business. It's simply outcome of the process. If the cake is bad, it's because of the way it was made, the lack of attention, the poor timing, the half-hearted effort that you've made inside this. Just as with the cake, product success or failure often comes down to the process that created it. So if you don't take the time carefully to plan it and execute it, and to continue to educate yourself, refine your approach, the results are going to be a lack of care. And you can expect that something. You really can't expect that something wonderful, right? The cake to be amazing coming out of the oven if that's the type of effort that you put in there, where you were disorganized, you neglected it, and then you rushed it at the end, right? We talked about the desperation and these decisions that can be made. The fault doesn't lie with the product itself. It lies within the method and the attention that we brought it. And so, in business, in baking, the ingredients you choose, the care that you take, and the timing that you apply will determine the outcome. Success requires consistency. It requires, constant attention to detail, dedication, and blaming the product for its shortcomings is like blaming the cake for tasting terrible, when really it's the baker that missed the mark. And so this is the idea when we talk about having your cake and eating it too. And so what we want to do, of course, is our way. What we're attempting to do today, what we're looking at for this process, our way is by removing the elephant and building pillars. Right. So it's not just having your cake and eating it too. It's going further. It's directing, going directly at the elephants, opening it up for conversation, not hiding behind something, and being honest with ourselves inside of our business. Amazon is bigger than it's ever been, and more people are going into it, and more people are exiting from it. And what this means for us is, where is your confidence? Where can we benefit from these things? We don't want a lack of confidence coming from the fact that we can't see the growth and the results inside the business. That's why we're working with people to make sure that we can work these areas that need some attention. And it's not that we have to restructure and redo every single thing inside your business. We can take a look at each pillar. We can take a look at each piece inside your business and look at the long term, and when long term profits start to show and they start to yield in the direction that we want them to, you can start to, you can take a step back, you can take a breath, and you can say, okay, now I'm going in the direction that I would like to continue to go in. And so this is a big part of it. Hopefully everyone in the chat today, I appreciate everybody in the chat. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the elephants and the pillars. It's something that we have been talking about inside the business. It is something that we want to address directly. Hopefully you guys get a chance to speak with us directly. You know, I did put it out there that if you haven't drawn the line in the sand with the storage and you need some assistance in this, book in a call with me, a strategy call. I'm happy to have that. If you want to talk about these topics, and if PPC or other elephants in the room that we're talking about, or something that's you know, something, thanks Ricardo, love that. You know, if these are things that are an issue inside your business, if you're blaming the cake, you know, then maybe we have to take a look at the baker. And what I know about my business, and I've said this, and it hasn't been easy for me to say. I don't like coming onto the streams and putting myself out there and saying, you know, I don't love PPC and I'm not good at it. What I can tell you about that statement is that's only part of the statement. Okay, it's a true statement. I don't love it and I'm not good at it, but it's only a part of it. The other part is that's not good enough for my business. It's going to come at a detriment to my business. My products are going to suffer. I'm going to end up blaming my products when really it was the baker, me being the baker, right? So what I've done is I've employed strategy in this area as a business owner, and I've outsourced the PPC inside my business. And so now I'm going to, because I'm not a great baker, I'm going to have a delicious cake. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to outsource that. But what I can tell you is the other side of this, when I said it doesn't show the whole picture, is that I want to learn more about PPC. So I'm going to continue the investment, which is time and energy, into education and learning more about it. Because just saying I'm not good at something and then outsourcing it, if that's the direction that you want to go, that's fine. We do it all the time with things. You know, I don't really know the mechanics of my vehicle, but I do know that it works. It's the same thing with my cell phone. I can't tell you exactly how it's working, but I do know that it works, and I don't figure it out myself. I've outsourced it, right? Emily would not be happy if I wasn't trying to work and build my own cell phones. I can tell you that. But what I can say is that in the world of PPC, it is something that I want to learn more about. And now I have the time that I can do so because I'm not pressured, right? I'm not putting that unrealistic expectation onto my PPC where I'm stressed and I have to do this. I can take a breath and say, listen, I've handled this as a business owner. I'm getting this taken care of. My products are performing better. And now when I have time, I can educate myself and I will allow myself a period of growth. That's the exciting part about this. So it's very good. I appreciate everybody showing up. If you're on if you're on a replay, thanks for watching. If you're here today live, thanks for joining in. Thank you, Dana. She says it's not easy to admit that you're not good at something. She feels the same way. Well, Dana, I appreciate that. It's not easy to admit, but it's important. And we talk about having the right expectations. I need to have the right expectations of myself. You know, can I do every single task inside my business? And then where do I want my business to perform? If I'm expecting my business to perform at peak performance, but I'm not the one to do that, then maybe I have to take a look at that. And maybe I have to take a look at that in each area of it. You know, we do it all the time with products. We're happy to have private label people source and do all the heavy lifting with the products, but there's other areas that we hold on to. And so sometimes we do have to have that conversation with ourselves. But thank you everyone for tuning in today for Elephants and Pillars. I really think that this was a great conversation. I'm excited to see the results from this as you guys take a look and take a deep dive in your own businesses, and we will talk soon. Thanks for tuning in.